Hello, hello. My music's still a little too loud. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a continuation to the yesterday's video. There's just a lot that wanted to come through, so this could go into another video, but this is definitely going to be continuing on that same thread of what Spirit's wanting me to share to all those who resonate or this could be helpful with. But bear with me, there is a lot that wants to come through. I hope you're all doing well. I have my little Dr. Pepper here. Hope you got a little drink. I'm going to talk about a little bit. This is not just going to be a channel message. It's going to kind of be like a little bit of a teaching. Like I said, take what resonates, leave the rest. Everyone's journey is so personal to them. But I wanted to get into it more. And before we do, what deck am I feeling? Okay. I was feeling Shadow first earlier. Maybe I'm going to be finishing with the Earth Magic Oracle at the end. Maybe that's what's going on. Because I was kind of feeling a pull to that one as well. But yeah, how's everybody doing? If you resonate with this video, please hit that like button. But feel free to, in the comments, let me and everyone know how you're doing, how this is resonating. Even this is a safe space. I guess that's kind of what I want to mention first, is that this is a safe space, not just for me, but for anyone who tunes in, for us to share in our journey and just with love at its core, unconditional love, that divine love. Oh, this is so synchronistic. This definitely goes. Okay, so I have the compassion card here today. And with this symbolism in the picture, I get this is your ancestors here, but not just any of your ancestors, but like an ancestral energy of like regalness and but also with that acceptance, understanding of the darkness, our shadow, with it. But I'm going to go ahead and read from the book on this one. I wanted to let Spirit come through and kind of set the tone with this. 76. Compassion. Now more than ever, we need to expand our ability to be compassionate towards self and others. There's been a trend in shaming and rejecting people who disagree with us, and justifying doing so by using sweeping generalizations. Compassion calls us to remember that every human is a product of their environment and is incredibly nuanced. If we want to be truly compassionate, we dive deeper. We do not build a wall. No matter how correct we believe we are, we must do our best to understand others and their experiences. Their lived experiences have created their truth, and if we want to create a world of connection, we cannot afford to outcast those who do not agree. We have to work hard within ourselves to bridge the gaps. Keep in mind, in some situations, compassion can take the form of a wall or a fist. But most of us humans are not perfect, and we live in the gray area. Good, but wounded. And in that, we need more intentional compassion and connection rather than punishment. How can you be more compassionate in your current life? Where have you built walls that do not serve you? Deer. The deer is a teacher of compassion and gentleness towards those who have harmed us. They're a reminder that all humans are wounded and that they can unconsciously project their pain onto others. When our anger and resentment becomes stuck and is holding us back, call upon Deer to work on cultivating compassion for those who are limited and in pain. This does not mean work on compassion and forgiveness before you have thoroughly processed the hurt, as that is imperative. Also, this does not mean that you must have compassion for every person who has hurt you. There are always exceptions. It is always a choice you must continue to make. You might resonate with using bleeding heart. A powerful pain reliever can also assist those who are experiencing the after effects of trauma. Those who have harvested bleeding heart will tell you how much care it required around the plant. It packs a punch, but it is incredibly sensitive to disturbances. If it is stepped on or harmed, chances are it will not recuperate. Bleeding heart is a call to mindfulness and preventative care. It is a teacher of being kind and compassionate to everyone around you, because we do not know what they are going through or what they can withstand. It is not up to us to decide what they should be able to take. And then also a crystal to help support in this energy. This book's really nice about giving all that. Pink calcite. So let's just get into it. So with this energy in this story, so the twin flame journey, or the onset of it, that was at the time, because this is years ago now, I didn't even know I was on. But this all goes back to when I wished upon a star. And I realized that what I mentioned in that video is part of that path. I wished upon a star for this soul level, deep, fairy tale, like what you would typically see in movies almost, type of a love and experience in my life. Unbeknownst to me, I guess I've come to realize I was calling in my twin flame even then, at the young age of like 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, and so on. Because this is multiple wishes upon a star. I didn't just wish for this upon a star once, but it was anytime I saw one, it was kind of always the same wish. And I just kept building up that energy. Sorry. And with that, I realized unconscious, I was unconscious, but my soul has been leading me this whole time. And what that's bringing us is to the point that, like, what taught me, what was a big lesson for me, and what was taught to me in that experience, was devotion, and what devotion and commitment wasn't. And the reason I bring up specifically devotion and commitment is because this was something that is misunderstood by a lot when you are on this, when your soul is leading you on this path, when God's leading you on this path, has led you on a path like mine or similar. And there's a good book that talks about this, that's based off the I Ching, and is about the I Ching from the Chinese, that comes traditionally from Chinese medicine. And it's called The Gene Keys by Richard Rudd, I believe. I'll share a link down to the book in the description. But it's the 29th gene key specifically it talks about. And that's the path of devotion, and how it's very heart-led, very soul-led, and how you'll walk a path that to society and on the surface really doesn't look all that spiritual conventionally, or like just what we would typically think of that. But this talks about, and a lot of modalities talk about, is that the need to experience both sides of a subject for full and whole understanding. And so I realized with that wish upon a star that this is why this was set into motion in my life. I had to experience what it wasn't, and all the other nuances and shadowy aspects that we tend to ignore on a collective level. And I think of like, it's funny because one of the things I tend to do, I've noticed, or at least I've noticed in retrospect, is like I tend to, songs and movies or characters I tend to resonate very strongly with, I tend to live out in my own way an experience or a life that like emulates. their struggle or their story. And a good example is like that movie Easy A with Emma Stone, and how she took a very bad situation and she empowered herself, and in the end she was victorious, and she ended up bringing a lot of like understanding and healing to a whole collective of people in that movie, and not just herself. I highly recommend that movie. A really good movie, and it's pretty funny. And this goes back to like, so the need to experience, like I think of there's in philosophy and some philosophy courses, and usually when you get into it, I can't remember who came up with this analogy, but it's the concept of like, the story goes like, if you were in a world without color, you learned and read and understood every context, like text and subject on color, that even then you wouldn't have the full understanding, because then the story progresses to where then they walk into a world full of color, and before that they really thought like, oh, I know everything about it, there's nothing more I could gain or expand upon in this. But then upon having that very visceral physical experience, they were opened up to a far vaster understanding of what a world with color really is like and is. And it's funny because I posted that video yesterday, and then I saw Eckhart Tolle had made a recent post talking about like, how your mistakes are some of your greatest teachers. I wouldn't, and not mistakes in like the typical way we would think of them, but like mistakes meaning that when it's not soul aligned and not aligned with our higher goal, desires, and purposes in this life. And that's what that's what I took that he meant by mistakes. That's not that like they're like mistakes and they're awful and there's something to be avoided, but that it's part of something bigger to help you get centered within yourself and with the divine. And then I also just think of like Jesus and how he helped a lot of sinful women in his time, that majority of the time society would see as like not being on the path, but they were on the path the whole time. Let's see, what else do I got here? So with that's where I'm gonna get into my story. So it's like when my twin, and to give you an example from my life, is when the twin flame, but actually before the twin flame came in, there was a shift within me that was just where my soul had gotten so loud. My heart got so loud that was like, we're done with this. This is not like, this isn't what we want. And so, and then you meet that mirror soul and you realize like, oh, that's the first of firsts. And then you have to learn detachment and everything like that. But the twin flame just kind of shattered all those illusions. But then I also realized like why I walked that path of devotion. And I was just devoted, even though I didn't understand like why this was what I was being called, this was the path I was being called to walk. But I realized like it was all building and teaching me to be ready to where like I knew, not just on a soul level, but like my conscious mind couldn't deny meeting my mirror soul, my counterpart. And it was just a strong knowing that even though my logical mind couldn't really wrap itself around it, but it's like, because of all those past experiences where it wasn't, and they only met me where I was willing to meet myself, I want to add. But that's what, then it was just, that's undeniably them. I can't ignore that. Because I know what it's not. And that's just was my experience of what, when the twin flame energy, because it was definitely the energy first for about a year, and then they came in. And then it just was like, everything just started clicking more into place. And I remembered the wish upon a star. I remember what like started and set me out on this journey to begin with. And it was very powerful, and it was very confusing at first, but then it all just started to make sense, and it just made letting go of all the things that do no longer serve me, to let go of those things. But yeah, I want to just get on and share that there's a purpose for everything, really, if you're willing to do the work. And it is a lot of shadow work. So I hope that is empowering to, if you made it this far, I hope that's empowering to you. I hope that maybe you can see yourself in it, that in a way that it helps you. Just know that you are so loved, and that you are so worthy, and you're already chosen, and that no matter what you have or perceive that you have done or not done in this life or previously, because just there's a bigger picture going on even when you can't see it. And if you just follow your heart, like, it'll take you where you need to go, even if you don't fully understand it or it scares you, because a lot of this can be scary. And with that, I wanted to say that I will be posting some words of power poetry that I'm feeling Spirit's calling me to share, as like an activation, for all of you. And I hope you tune in for that. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll post that later today. But in the meantime, sending you all so much love, and please hit that like button if this resonates. Let me know what you think in the comments, and always subscribe. It really helps the channel. And yeah, see, until next time, take care.